Hi, this is Bob Scully, and welcome to another edition of The World Show, Entrepreneurs, the Fiera Series, on assignment this week in Atlanta, Georgia, although we did meet our guest in Toronto, and yet I wouldn't be surprised to see him come around the corner at some point here in Atlanta. You'll find out why in a moment. Our guest, Tom Osovitzki, is a classic entrepreneur. As he told me after the interview, I really wanted to make something out of nothing. He started from scratch, and he has built a colossus in the travel industry. As the travel agency business on the retail end has declined and gotten poorer and a tougher business to be in because people want to do their own bookings or because airlines and hotels are reluctant to give commissions, while that has somehow withered, even though travel has exploded, there's less profit in it. Meanwhile, the bespoke business, the business done for huge corporations that will have up to $500,000 in travel budgets per year, that business has grown because those companies are very demanding and they need people like our guest, Tom Osovitzki, whose company is appropriately called Corporate Travel Management Solutions. And solutions he finds indeed. He can fly you around the world in a private jet, organize a banquet with a head of state above the oceans if you want. He even one day had to face a challenge where a worldwide conference was taking place in the oil industry in North Africa, and the inviting country, Algeria, simply did not have the facilities, not enough hotel rooms to receive all these people from all over the world. So he went ahead and chartered 3 entire cruise ships, planted them in the harbor in Algiers and Oran, and was able to service that conference. In other words, he's a magician, and he has made a business out of it. And he does all this with a nice smile and a very calm demeanor, which must come in handy when he's wondering if that private jet has enough fuel in it. Here's Tom Osovitzki. Tom Osovitzki's CTMS, I looked it up, stands for Corporate Travel Management Solutions, and I was not surprised that the words travel agency are not in there. It's a different business that you manage. It's next door to travel agents, but it's not. What is it you do?
We take companies, we put a travel program together for companies. It's a travel management company as opposed to a traditional travel agency. We do that for Fortune 500 companies, for a lot of corporations. We do that for sports teams, as well as entertainment companies.
And the traditional travel agency, I think you started out there in a mom and pop agency briefly before you saw the light. The fact is that industry has been under tremendous pressure because airlines, hotels, everybody has their own booking service. There's internet, you can get results right away. And there's all the price quoting services on the internet for hotels. Has that killed the traditional travel agency?
Initially, absolutely. It did cause significant damage to the traditional travel agency. However, when you have a company like ours, which manage a travel program for a corporation, where they have in excess of, some corporations, we have clients that spend $500,000 in travel on an annual basis, and we have companies that spend 30 or 40 million on an annual basis. And that's something that needs to be managed as opposed to just going to buy it online and not having it controlled. And I think the key here is having a controlled travel program. The airlines as well, they've mid-90s, I would say, they cut the commissions for all the travel agencies, and that's when you saw a lot of travel agencies kind of go under. Since then, the ones that were able to stay above water are the ones that have been able to succeed. A lot of the larger ones, the larger travel management companies, obviously doing very, very well. What we see is that the corporations are looking to get that personalized service. They're looking to go after a company who will give them the support and not just deal with the airlines directly, where it's more difficult to get in touch with them and deal with them.
But will they pay the premium? Because the premium that you charge is really what allows you to make a living. That's the service that you're providing. They will choose that over the lowest price?
They will pay the premium. Companies who want to control their budgets and control their travel program, absolutely. At the end of the day, it's not only paying a premium, but we're saving them money. We're going out to the airlines, we're going out to all the vendors that they're using and negotiating lower fares. So that burden falls on us as a company to go and get these better prices and these deals for our clients. We use we have our global deals that we're able to pass on to our clients. And that's where the companies, even though they're paying a premium or they're paying a service fee, at the end of the day, when you factor everything in, you see savings at the end of the year, which is significant.
And just as everybody thinks they can be a movie critic, everybody thinks they can be a hockey coach, everybody thinks they can do travel arrangements, because they're used to doing it for their own vacation and so on, and going on these as internet services and TripAdvisor and Trivago and everything else. So does it happen that in your big corporate clients, some managers come back and say, hey, wait a minute, that hotel room you got me, I could have got it for half?
Absolutely. It happens every day, every hour of the day. We get snapshots of, just online booking tools that they're out there for the public. So they'll send over snapshots of, I have it a bit cheaper here, and I found it a bit cheaper here. Again, it's nature of the business. It's the travel industry, the way that it always fluctuates the prices. The pricing can go up and down based on the availability. Somebody canceled, all of a sudden a ticket is $100 less. So those are challenges that all of us deal with on a daily basis. The one thing is that just certain corporations or certain companies that we deal with who have their own airline deals, and we work with their airline deals or hotel deals. Those are things that may be higher in price or lower in price, and like you said, some people just don't understand and try to be the travel agents and go.
What do? You have a stock diplomatic answer ready? But you turn them down? You thank you, but
no. When they come back with something like that.
Because they're part of your client.
Yeah.
But that's not the
No,
deal
we'll
you
definitely
have.
look into it. I mean, if they see a lower fare, we kind of want to see how this lower fare came about. So if it's an airline or a hotel, we'll definitely research it.
And so you pitch companies for their travel budget, and as you say, it can be quite high. Are there a lot of people like you competing for that business?
Absolutely.
So it puts pressure on your fees.
Absolutely. The fees they're very competitive, and over the last few years they've actually come down a bit. But there's additional services that are available for us to kind of make up on the fees that we have to reduce.
I asked that because I can see that you're also diversifying a lot. You're doing sports teams, movie star and film star travel. Must be an awful job, terrible job.
Terrible.
But also international conferences. You did one in North Africa for the liquefied natural gas
in Oran.
industry worldwide. So that tells me that you don't want to be a prisoner of the core business because maybe it's commoditizing.
Absolutely. We look at different ways and to expand what we're doing. All really in travel, but we have a meeting and events department that we recently launched as well.
And how did you? Because when you started with this, it was quite small.
Oh yeah.
And you've expanded it considerably. I think you have 80 full-time staff.
Even more today. We just hiring on a daily basis.
So you've expanded it enormously. Therefore, you did a sales push. How did you do it?
The growth was organic, completely. 90% organic.
Word of mouth.
Word of mouth, yeah. A lot of references, recommendations, and it really grew organic. And at the point that we had enough revenue coming in, we began to hire more sales and marketing, and be able to market our brand or ourselves.
And did it grow enough that you were able to do without bank financing?
Absolutely.
That's
Never
a welcome.
financed.
Never financed.
Never.
And had you put enough capital in yourself, or?
Yeah. I put some capital in myself, but I think we didn't We made every step we did throughout the process was very calculated, and that's why we didn't need any financing or the capital that we had to, or the investment in capital we
You
had to
never
put
bit
in.
off more than you could chew.
Exactly.
And this is an industry, it would seem to me, even though you're doing it at a fairly big scale, where little details can sink you. If you have a CEO and his room was not ready, that kind of thing, it's really not your fault. It's halfway around the world, but he may chew you out. You might lose the business. Do you have a troubleshooting protocol? How do you do it?
Very hands-on. That is probably the most difficult thing to deal with, is getting that call from a CEO or any C-level for that per se, from a large corporation, and having to deal with something that really is out of your hands. And again, those are things that thankfully so rarely we deal with, but it does happen. And yeah, it's how we deal with it is, our management is very flat level management. So if I need to get involved in a situation like that, I will call and I'll deal with it.
Have you lost business ever on an incident like that?
I wouldn't say we lost business. There were repercussions, and it was it took some time to get to fix a situation that was really out of our hands.
And you're quite imaginative, I noticed, with some troubleshooting. For instance, that conference in North Africa where the liquefied gas worldwide industry met, that's a lot of people. You didn't have enough hotel rooms. It was in Algeria. Didn't have enough hotel rooms, so you did what?
We chartered 3 vessels, 3 ships, 3 cruise ships, put them at the port and used it as a hotel.
Incredible.
Yeah.
And 3 ships were available? Obviously.
With enough money, they were.
Okay, and they weren't fully booked, and they fixed it for you.
Yeah, we did it in advance. We knew that we were going to do the LNG 16 for quite some time, so we had a lot of time to plan.
And when you are working, let's say, with a sports team, I mean, those schedules are grueling. Some sports, I mean, baseball and hockey and basketball, football less, but have so many games in a season that it's in the 3 figures, that the planes have to be perfectly ready all the time. Are you in charge of all that?
We do most, some of the teams that we deal with, we're doing the team travel, which, yeah, it's very hands-on. It's a round-the-clock job. We always have somebody on call or watching the team and watching, because the teams mostly will play in the evening, so watching if there's kind of what their movement is, any injuries, and what calls to expect that night. A lot of the other teams, we're doing their executive and corporate travel. So it's kind of it's a variety of different types of travel that we're doing for each of these teams.
And I've traveled a couple of times on sports teams' planes, and it struck me that they're treated like movie stars. Nothing is the whole plane is decorated. It's their plane,
yes,
decorated with the team's logo.
Yeah.
They each have their favorite seat, and they can leave their stuff there. And so do you have a concierge service of some kind to make sure those little details are
Absolutely,
done?
Absolutely. We have a concierge department that does kind of looks after the catering, looks after anything they really want, and the expectations and what they want is
high,
very high.
And you're also branching out, or going to branch out into concierge precisely, and private jet services.
Yes.
And I'm not surprised. I think that's probably the high end.
Yeah.
And maybe margins there are sweeter too?
The margins are higher. I think it's important for us because we're getting a lot more questions and clients wanting a more concierge-focused company, a more private jets. So it's something that we want to become the one-stop shop, as opposed to us going out and brokering that service or going out to a broker and getting a private jet. So we want to become that broker or the operator. And with the concierge, it's going to be our staff, our employees, and they'll know our clients, because there's a lot of third parties that we could use. but again, it loses that personal touch and what people are really looking for.
And I would imagine that of course, as we started at the very beginning by saying, you do corporate budgets, and they can be small or big, but even small is big in that league. But do you have minimums? Like, will you take a corporation? I would assume sometimes maybe the CEO just wants one fishing trip, but he's at the head of this huge conglomerate, so you're salivating, so you'll do his fishing trip, hoping to get the rest. Is it like a loss leader?
Yeah, I mean, that's something we do. I mean, we do have a leisure department as well, so we do some leisure travel. I'm not a big fan per se of leisure travel, but it's something that we do offer because we do have a lot of clients who want to go on those vacations, and that's a service that we'll offer. But yes, to answer your question, if there is a CEO or somebody in a company who has the impact to recommend us or move their corporate business to us, and we started that way, then most definitely. And a lot of our business did start out that way, actually.
And are there minimums, though? Once you do get the business, first, is there exclusivity? Do you require that the company give you all the business, or?
We don't. It's not mandatory. We prefer it, of course, and we will work towards it. So we will have meetings with the team on the client side, or with procurement, or whoever makes those decisions. But exclusivity makes more sense for the client, just because we're consolidating all their travel, and we're able to report on what they're spending on an annual basis, as opposed to everybody booking at different agencies, and then it's a bit more difficult to kind of get the deals and go after the airlines and vendors, getting them those discounts that they're looking for.
And I noticed as well in the research that you're moving into Russia and China. Those are not easy economies or cultures to penetrate. It's a lot simpler and more straightforward, I would think, in the Western world. So you're putting some burden there on your shoulders. Is there really a return there?
For our Russian, the Russian office is more because of specific client demands that we had in Europe. A lot of our European clients going into Russia for business, and it made sense for us on a service level to be able to provide them, to have an office there where they can go to. It's a resource for them.
How about China?
It's important for us to have that presence just for our global clients. We have I would say 80% of our clients are global, and and the ones that are global are traveling to all those areas of the world, including China. And it's important for us from a service level to be able to provide them that service in those locations.
And how are you treated by your suppliers? Because in a way, the travel agents had the same problem on the retail side. You're their colleague, but you're also their competitor in a way, because they think we could have got that business. Hotel chains, airlines. How do you negotiate with them? Is it friendly or tough?
No, it's actually, it used to be tough. It's become a lot more friendlier. The airlines, and I mean, the way that we're seeing things, for us at least, it's more of a partnership at this point. We have very good vendor relationships. The airlines, and whether it's hotel or car rental companies, work very closely with us and try to meet our requirements or any demands that we may have that will support the client.
And entrepreneurially, the required outlays of cash, so a lot of these vendors will demand payments up front, but you don't want to turn around and bill your client up front necessarily, so this is going to come out of your cash flow. Do you ever get stiffed, like the CEO changed his mind, he's not going to Vietnam or whatever, and you're stuck with the bill? No?
No, we haven't had that. I mean, we've had clients who don't want to pay on time, but and cash flow I think is an issue that a lot of businesses deal with. But no, we haven't had anything significant enough or any significant bad debts that would jeopardize our business.
And the credit card companies, they must approach you. There it's reversed. They must want you on their side.
Credit card companies don't necessarily like travel agencies because we're high risk.
To finance you. But I mean to be the card of choice for your clients.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Amex must give you the white card or whatever. I don't know what color there. It used to be the black card, then it was the white card.
Yeah, they're all chasing our clients, the credit card companies, and yeah, that's an entire different industry, and a lot of competition between them, and pressure on us to.
I was going to say, yeah. And have you ever had decadent requests? You know, somebody who wants 30 dancing girls, or I don't know, a banquet in a 747. I mean, crazy decadent requests.
We actually had the first poker game in a 747 over the Atlantic. So that was we did a lot of charters for poker
like a poker tournament.
Poker tournaments, yeah.
Really?
Yeah. So that was
something.
It
took off from where?
It took off from London, and it went to the Caribbean.
Wow.
And that was a televised event too.
And were you on the plane?
I wasn't, but I have the footage of it. So it looked like something very interesting. It was first time ever. In terms of that, we have a lot of requests, especially with us doing concierge services and really doing, anything from A to Z.
Their pet tiger award or whatever.
Yeah, we'll get the craziest requests.
Well, Tom, I'm sure you'll continue doing that, and I'm sure it'll work very well. Long life and good luck to you and the company.
Thank you.
Tom Osovitzki, and now here's something else coming up on the World Show.
Well, it was a dark time, and sometimes you'd wake up in the morning and say, "Ay, I wish I didn't have to do this again today." But and there was a period of about a year where it was truly drudgery, but you had to use your brain, you had to keep your brain focused, and you had to really persevere. You had to get in there and kick and bite and scratch and do whatever you had to do. And it's now worked out. But I have to tell you, I don't know if I've become mellower. I've always had a heart, and people don't look at it that way, but I see a lot of people going through a lot of turmoil right now, and I've seen a lot of good friends get totally wiped out over the last year or two, smart people. And they just got totally wiped out, and they're good people, and they employ other people, and they create jobs and everything else. And they were badly hurt, and they were decimated. But I was in a business also that turned out to be a good business, and that was the Atlantic City situation. I mean, it turned out to be such a great business for me. So you could say that in a way I didn't put all my eggs in one basket. Had I put them all in just real estate, it would have been catastrophic. Well, I think that the entrepreneurs that came crashing down also created a tremendous number of jobs in many cases, but you'd really have to look at it case by case. I can tell you some really bad guys, real scum that came crashing down, and I'm happy about it, and they did nothing. They did nothing for society. I can also tell you some really good guys that have created a tremendous number of jobs, had great visions, had great everything. It just didn't work out for them. Now, they came crashing down, but with them it was a bad thing. So I don't think you can generalize as to entrepreneurs crashing down. I think you can say that some people didn't deserve their fate, and others, it's really great that it happened. During the bad times, with my name on a lot of things, the values, the name still had a great value. And I've seen it over the years in terms of other things and other products, but the name just kept its value. Now, I'm not saying it has a value like it did today, because I think today its value maybe is higher than it ever was. I think it's probably higher than it was now in the 80s. But 3 years ago, 4 years ago, nobody removed it, nobody took it off, nobody suggested it. There were bad times. There were bad times for a lot of people. And I think, frankly, people understood that. But the institutions and the banks felt very strongly that the name was such a huge asset, it would hurt very badly to go into a war and maybe remove it and maybe fight to remove it, et cetera, et cetera. Sometimes you attack. I usually attack people that attack me. If people are dealing with me reasonably, I deal with reasonably. And I have great relationships with people. And you sort of see that. Probably the biggest reason I'm here today is that I do have good relationships. People think of Trump as, wow, I mean, he's a fighter and all that stuff. And maybe I'm a fighter, but I'm really somebody that has great relationships with people. But if people attack me, I attack back twice as hard. I attack back as hard as you can attack. And I think maybe having that image isn't the worst thing in the world, but it's not anything that I really like to use. I believe that I'm here today because of relationships. People respect me, they respect what I've done, they respect what I can do, they know I'm honest, and I'm a total professional. That's why I'm having a much better year than I ever did any time in the 80s. You know, various things happen, and a lot of times when you think you're friendly with somebody, all of a sudden it doesn't work out that way. I mean, you know, it's like you're not doing so well and they're not there. I mean, I had numerous cases where people that I was very good to were not loyal to me. I had mostly cases, however, where they were very loyal and they worked hard and, you know, did a good job for me. But I had numerous cases, a couple of cases, one where I made somebody quite rich. They had beautiful homes, everything else, took them out of government, and when it came time to really getting in there and fighting and making certain calls that they could have made very easily to certain people that they had relationships with, they wouldn't do it. And I said, whoa, whoa. And now they're calling me and truly kissing you-know-what, and I'm trying to just be as nasty as I can to them. I mean, you know, you have to remember, you do have to remember a little bit of an eye for an eye, but always wanting to have dinner, and I don't even take the calls. I mean, I refuse to take the calls.
Tom Osovitzki was our guest this week on Entrepreneurs, the Fiera series of the World Show. I'm Bob Scully, on assignment in Atlanta, Georgia. Have a great week. Thanks.